Rationalise means to get rid of the root from the bottom of a fraction. If we have one term in the bottom of a fraction, we just simply multiply the top and the bottom by that root. So for part A, I'm going to multiply top and bottom of my fraction by root 5. When timesing fractions, I just times the tops and times the bottoms. So 10 times root 5 is simply 10 root 5. And the bottom, we should know that root 5 multiplied by itself is simply 5. Simplifying our fraction, here we can see 10 over 5. Well, 10 divided by 5 is 2. Hence, my final answer is going to be 2 root 5. For part B, again, as we have one term on the bottom, to rationalise, I just multiply the top and the bottom of my fraction by the root. In this case, I'm going to multiply top and bottom by root 3. When timesing fractions, I just multiply the tops and the bottom separately. On the top, 15 multiplied by root 3 is going to be 15 lots of root 3. On the bottom, when timesing surds, if there's no number outside a root, we know number is 1. We multiply the numbers outside and numbers inside separately. Numbers on the outside are 2 times 1, which will give us 2. And we should recognise that when multiplying a root by itself, root 3 times root 3 is simply 3. And then we know that 2 times 3 on the bottom therefore gives us 6. And on the top, I still have 15 lots of root 3. Simplify my answer. I know 15 over 6, I can divide top and bottom by 3. Well, 15 divided by 3 gives me 5. So I've got 5 lots of root 3 on the top. And the bottom 6 divided by 3 gives me 2. For part C, if I'm rationalising and I've got 2 terms in the bottom, I always place that inside single brackets and I multiply the top and the bottom by the same 2 terms at the bottom, but I must change the sign. Hence, in this case, I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 3 minus root 2. Leaving the top alone for now, I'm going to leave that as 14 and in brackets 3 minus root 2. Expanding my double brackets on the bottom, I know that 3 multiplied by 3 will give us 9. I know that positive 3 multiplied by negative root 2 will give us negative 3 lots of root 2. I know multiply my inside terms. I know positive root 2 times by 3 will give us plus 3 root 2. I know that 3 root 2 take away 3 root 2 will cancel. So I know the two middle terms will cancel. And multiply my last term in each bracket together. I know positive root 2 multiplied by negative root 2 will simply give us negative 2. As a positive times negative is simply negative, and a root times itself is just a number. Leaving the top alone for now, I've still got 14 and in brackets 3 minus root 2. Simplifying the bottom, the denominator, I know 9 subtract 2 gives us 7. Simplifying my fraction, I can see that 14 divided by 7 gives us 2. So I've got 2 lots and in single brackets 3 minus root 2 as my final answer. Or I could expand my single bracket. Whatever's outside, I multiply by each term directly inside. So 2 times 3 will give us 6, and 2 times negative root 2 will give us negative 2 root 2. For part D, again, as I've got 2 terms at the bottom, I place that into single brackets, and I always multiply the top and the bottom of my fraction by the same 2 terms at the bottom, but I must change the sign. Hence, in this case, I'm going to times top and bottom by root 5 plus root 2. Once more, leaving the numerator, I have the top alone for now. I've got 6 and in brackets root 5 plus root 2. And expanding my double brackets on the bottom of my fraction. My first term in each bracket, I know that root 5 times root 5, a root times itself is just a number. So root 5 times root 5 is simply 5. Multiply my outside terms together. Here I have root 5 multiplied by root 2, which will give us positive root 10. Multiply my inside terms together. Here I have negative root 2 multiplied by positive root 5, which will give us negative root 10. And finally, my last term in each bracket, here I have negative root 2 multiplied by positive root 2, which will simply give us negative 2, because a negative times a positive is negative, and a root times itself is just a number. On the bottom, I know my two middle terms will cancel, as positive root 10 subtract root 10 will give me 0, and therefore I'm just left with 5 take away 2, which is 3. On the numerator, I still have 6, and in single brackets, root 5 plus root 2. Finally, simplify my fraction. I know that 6 divided by 3 gives me 2. So I've got 2 lots, and in single bracket, root 5 plus root 2 as my final answer. Or I could expand out my single bracket. Whatever's outside, I multiply by each term directly inside. So 2 times root 5 will give us 2 lots of root 5. And 2 times root 2 will give us plus 2 root 2.